Good evening, everybody, and season's greetings. Hope you all had an amazing Christmas. Welcome to the Boxing Day special of the Wise Women podcast. You know, I say every week, I'm so excited for my guest today. Do you know today is the first time we are having a male guest? So I thought for Christmas, over the Christmas and New Year, we'll do something amazing. We've got our first male guest there. I'm so honored to have him on the show. I feel like he's going to add so much value to marriages and to singles. And I know relationships are such a big part of our identity. They're a big part of our lives. We get emotionally involved and they dictate how we feel and how we live our lives. And we're going into the year 2025. And I know some of you want to get dating right in the new year. Some of you are praying, God, my marriage is suffering. You're lacking wisdom in this area. My guest is absolutely going to help with some of those things. He has amazing knowledge. And I don't want to be the one to tell you too much. I'm going to bring him on the show and introduce you to this amazing person. Help me welcome Dr. London. Doc, how are
Yes,
you doing,
hello.
sir?
I'm fine. Hello, Esther. How do you do, madam? Are you well?
Oh, do you know what? First of all, thank you for coming on the show.
No,
I'm
no, it's a pleasure and an honor.
absolutely honored to have you. And you are our first male guest. You're the
Wow,
first
I'm honored then. I'm honored. Oh dear.
first man we've had on the show. I just thought, you know what? It's Christmas, it's New Year, it's time to do something different and open up the wise woman to wisdom from men because wisdom is not gender based. Do me a favor, introduce yourself to our audience, let them know who you are. For those who don't know you, who don't follow you, please let them know about your amazing story and your amazing work that you're doing.
All right. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I trust you're all well and had a nice Christmas. It's nice to be here. Dr. London's my name. I've been on TikTok now since about June, and it's gone fabulously well. I started studying the interdynamic between men and women and relationships in general in 2007. Of course, I've been married myself and I have a son. And it took me on a journey that has led me to where I am today. I then decided to bring my knowledge to social media. So I'm on TikTok, Dr. London 258 and 257. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. There's a Facebook group called Supporting Marriage as well. And of course, I'll be developing the YouTube station also. The YouTube platform also. So
Yeah.
I offer one-to-one coaching. Of course, I do. I've also got I've got two books that I've written, I think, which will help a lot of people. That will expose a lot of the problems you have in today, especially in the Western world. I've written books one, books two, and I've also got coaching courses that I'm about to complete for both men and women. And in particular,
Exciting.
yes, in particular, Esther, for those that have not been married before. So if you've not been
Mm,
married before, this course is in particular for you. It's what it
mm,
is. And what it does is it sort of helps you identify yourself, first of all, prepare you.
mm.
And once you prepared yourself, know what type of man you are, what type of wife you want, where to find them,
Yeah,
how to court, how to marry, how to stay married and not get divorced. I've
come
written
on
it all
now.
in there. And the
I love
reason why I've done this, yes, the reason why I've done this is because I've noticed that there are a lot of people that simply don't know what they're doing. A lot of
mm,
people are getting divorced because they didn't marry right. The foundation is
wow.
wrong.
Mm,
You ask them some basic questions and that they can't answer. And what we
mm,
need to do is we need to get good people marrying good people. The women are
mm.
being taken advantage of, men are being taken advantage of. And as I said, in the Western world, one might argue that it doesn't necessarily support marriage so much so. And so we've got to also take a look at that. So that's why I'm here. I've done hundreds
Wow.
and hundreds and hundreds of hours of research, case studies after case studies after case studies. So yes, there's a bit of knowledge in the brain on this. There's just a bit,
Over
just a bit.
17 years you've been doing this.
Yeah,
Over 17 years you've
2007,
been, yeah.
2007 I started.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So it's an honor to have you here, Dr. Land. I'm super excited.
No,
And our
it's a
topic
pleasure.
is how to fail-proof your marriage and how to find love in 2025. So we're talking to both the singles and we're talking to both those who are married and they're really struggling. Maybe you've been married for less than a year, 5 years, and we'll
Yeah.
be talking to both the men and women. The majority, I've actually got a good mix of an audience. I have men that watch the Wise Women podcast and I have some women. So as you feel led, as you feel that God wants you to just speak tonight. I don't want to control too much of the conversation. I want us to have those wonderful conversations that we have. And I'm someone that, you know, when I watch your show and I listen to some of the things that you say, I think I've learned so much in the last 3 to 6 months that I didn't realize how ignorant I was in some areas of my life. And because I've grown, I've suddenly stopped certain things. I no longer have tolerance for certain things. Knowledge, wisdom has entered my heart, and I'm just in a place where things are just falling off me because I've outgrown spaces and people and things that I used to entertain before. And now I'm just like, you know, I have no time for it. And I really want to thank you. I feel like, you know, some of the stuff that I've been hearing from yourself and other coaches have really helped me come full circle to this. And it's really good to have you here. So let's go straight in. I think let's start with the singles. How to love in 2025. So what is the dating process? What's the dating pool look like now, Doctor? What's your assessment of what's going on? How are people meeting people? What is the right way? Where do the right people need to meet the right people? Because you said good guys should marry good girls and so on and so forth. How do good people find love in the new year? So someone's single now, they're watching this thinking, you know, I'd really like to meet someone next year. I'd really like to meet someone serious, you know, and it's really difficult because where do you go? And you can't even say you will meet someone in church now because sometimes that's a disaster. So we'll talk about that as well. So where do people find love? What's the best thing to do? The mindset? What's the first step someone needs to decide?
Well, I think the first thing someone needs to decide is they themselves. Are you ready for anything? Let me just give you a quick analogy. Imagine if you were somebody that wanted to box or fight Mike Tyson, you'd go and get training first, wouldn't you? You'd get training first to prepare yourself for the fight, as an example. And so what we have is you have a lot of people that aren't actually ready to get married, that just want to be a wife or be a husband. So the first person they need to actually work on is themselves. You know, and as a guide, you know, you want to make sure if you're a woman, you know, it helps if you're faith-based. It helps if you don't sleep around. It helps if you come from a two-parent home. It helps if you've worked hard and saved your money. It helps if you've, you know how to run a home. Have you been trained to run a home by your mother and father? You've watched their own example year over year over year. If you've got all of that intact, and then you want to find a man that's exactly the same on the other side. A man that has been raised by his father, very strict, very disciplined, logical, not emotional, keeps his emotions in check, and he's preparing himself to be a husband, just like the woman should be preparing herself to be a wife. Those two should meet. And so, point two, love. Love is secondary. You heard Tina Turner say, love is a second-hand emotion. Yes, it is. Now, yes. Does that mean that love is not necessary or welcome? Yes, it absolutely is. But what am I saying? What Dr. London is saying is that you're going to have to take your time to build that love with that person. What is more important is respect. Do you respect what the woman? Do you respect what the woman stands for? Does the woman respect what the man stands for? If the two of them do and they're compatible, then you have a good start. You could get two people that don't know each other. One of them lives in Dubai, the other one lives in New Zealand, and they could come together, meet in a restaurant, start having a conversation, and find out that they have a lot in common. And there's enough attraction to make it work. And you could have people that have known each other for years and years and years, and they don't have anything really in common. But they get married because they just know each other. Let's just get married. I've known you for 5 years. You've known me for 5 years. And this is why you hear them saying, well, we were boyfriend and girlfriend for 5 years. And then as soon as we got married, we got divorced.
Wow.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Doctor, you said something, if I interject real quick, that was really powerful. And I think love is secondary. A lot of people put the emotion first. They think, oh, I love her, I love him. And then with all the things that you've listed, family background, responsibility, finances, we tend to put that second. And then these are the things, that now become the issue in relationships, that become the issues. They're the building blocks of the issues of the relationship. And let's think about this. And I think I blame Hollywood for this, especially for women, because it romanticizes love. This knight in shining armor is going to come and save you. So then women focus on being saved by men. They don't think about financial planning and getting their life together and actually being a wife and all these important things that go into their everyday of life. How can we slow down infatuation? How can we slow down all of that emotion stuff and start to actually approach relationships quite practically, so I think even biblically, relationships were approached quite practically first and foremost, though between families, more so than I love you, you love me. It's like, no, we're going to marry this family because they're a good family. They have the same values as us. Our daughter's going to marry their son. There was a lot of arranged marriages based on
Yes.
status, class, and having that thing. How important is it for us to start thinking right about love and how we approach relationships?
You are you're dead right, to be honest. You know that in India we have arranged marriages. We've heard of this time and time again. And you know
Yeah.
that their success rate is over 90%.
Wow.
Over
Wow.
90%
And
success
it's got
rate.
nothing to do with prayer. It's got nothing to do with
Yeah.
fasting
Mm,
or God
mm,
or anything like
mm,
that. Why is that? Why is that? Why is
Because
that?
ordinarily you've got to think about it that it is the father that gives away the daughter. And the
Mm,
father gives away the daughter, saying, "This is my daughter who is well trained." And I use that word
mm,
specifically, well trained. It's like anything. People get
mm,
offended by words. Confucius, calling the things by their correct name is the beginning of wisdom. Yes.
mm.
Get to be well trained. You want a well trained woman and you want a well trained man, and they bring
Yeah.
the two together. And in many cases, the people involved, the man and the young lady, they may or may not know themselves. And
Mm,
dad will simply say, "Oh, we have a cousin over there that's 200 miles away, and they have a daughter, and she's 4 or 5 years younger than you. And I think she's going to make you an excellent wife." And the
they've
man
been
might see that,
grooming her, training her
yes,
from
and
young.
might think to
Yeah.
himself, "She's not the one I would go for ordinarily, but if she's going to be a good wife and raise good children, then let's go with that." And it
Yeah.
works. And then what did I say earlier on? Then what begins to happen is
Love.
year after year after year, guess what people begin to do? They
Mm,
smooth each other out and then they become one. And then
yeah.
that's where the love comes in.
Mm,
And I need to say this, ladies and gentlemen, love is the act of doing. Love is the act of sacrifice. Love is the
mm,
act of tolerance and forgiveness. And
yeah.
that takes some time. What do you actually love about him? Example,
Mm,
well, when I was ill, he stayed by me. When my car broke down, he fixed it. When mom needed help, he did that. When I
yeah.
had issues, he helped me. He sorted me. That takes time. So you can't simply meet someone and say you love them. No, that's infatuation. And it
Yeah.
might it
Come on
might just
now.
be a physical desire. It's a physical
Mm,
desire. Oh wow, he's hot and he's saucy. Yes, or vice versa, of course, with the lady. Yeah, as they said, she's got
oh,
it
we love
popping
a
back and
saucy
fast.
man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, it's,
The
it's hot, it's
Tyrones
hot.
and the Rays.
Yeah, yeah, that's it, Tyrone and Pookie and Chad. You know, it's hot and it's saucy. And that's what it's good from the neck down, you know. From the
Yeah.
neck down, he might have some use, but above the neck, there's not much going on. And
Yeah.
so this
Mm,
is what must not happen. You've
wow.
got to prepare yourself first and then think, will I respect this man? And if you are going to respect the man, what about it is it that you're going to respect? So
Mm,
example, well, but take out the physicality for a second. Everybody wants a 6 foot tall man, and only about 12% of those men are 6 foot tall, or 13%. Most
yeah.
of those are
I don't
taken
give
and
a
are not
less than
available.
6 foot.
Yeah, everybody wants one of those, even though they're 5'2", which is rather bizarre. And so next, okay, what do you respect about him?
Yeah.
Well, he's well mannered, he's articulate, his word is his bond. He
Yeah.
says what he means, he means what he says. He can stand on his word. If he says he'll turn
Mm,
up, he'll turn up. If he says no,
yeah.
he means no. If he says yes, he means yes. What else you like about him? He's stable. And what do you mean by that? He has his own house, he's got his own car, okay,
Yeah.
and he's been in a career for a good number of years. What else?
Mm,
He comes from a good home. What else? I
yeah.
like his brothers and sisters. Because don't forget, marriage is about what,
That's
Esther? Family.
powerful.
It's
Families.
about
Yeah.
family. Yeah,
It's the coming together of two
there are two
families.
families, correct.
Yeah.
Not two
Creates an
individuals, it's two
extended
families.
family as well. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
you want those families to really be more or less on par. They don't necessarily have to
Yeah.
be equal in terms of money, but in terms of character and morality, they have to
Yeah.
be equal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the
Yeah.
same thing about the woman. What do you respect about her? She's
Mm.
gorgeous? No, no, not her physicality. I said, take that
A lot
out
of
for the
men
second.
lead with that. There's a thing that you
Yeah,
call it. There's a word that that you use for that.
yeah,
When
yes.
someone,
You mustn't lead, men must not lead with their wallet, and women should
yes,
not lead with sexuality. They shouldn't,
yeah,
because those are
yeah,
the wrong things. Men do not lead with your wallet. Women do not lead with sexuality. You lead with character
yeah,
and
yeah,
purpose. So
yeah.
when you find a woman and you say you like this woman, what do you like about her? Well, she
Mm,
has a stable job. She's a teacher. She's very neat. She's tidy. She's well
mm,
domesticated. She can run a home. I like her mum. I like her dad. I like her family. And very importantly, she's financially stable. She's made
yeah,
good choices with her money. Remember, when you get married, you're buying essentially either way the entirety of that person. So if that person is toxic and damaged and broken,
Yeah. Yeah.
toxic and broken, the TBW, the toxic broken woman, or TBM, the toxic broken man, and you
Yeah.
marry them, then what you're paying for is their toxicity. That's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
And so then you
Suffering.
start complaining after the fact that, oh, he's not nice, or oh, he has no empathy, or oh,
Mm,
he gives me the
mm,
silent treatment if he says something I don't like, and he gets very moody, or she decides to not
yeah.
engage in intimacy, or she spends money
Mm,
recklessly. And when I try to check her, she says, after all, it's only money. Yes, but it's not her money. It's my money,
yeah.
which is our money that she's spending recklessly. All
Yeah.
these things were obvious if you knew what to look for and how to
Mm,
look for them.
wow.
People don't tend to lie too much in terms of their actions. Now, they can lie with their mouth and their words, but their
Yes.
actions don't tend to lie. As the saying
Mm,
goes, when people show
mm,
you who they are, Esther,
leave them.
exactly.
You know what? We want to, especially when you meet somebody new, you want to give
You want to believe,
them,
you want to
yeah,
believe
the
that
benefit
they're,
of the
yes, that they're
doubt.
good.
You think everyone's like you. You think everyone's authentic and genuine like you. And
Correct. And they're not.
everyone has different agendas, different motives, and different kind of things. So I love what you're saying. You're helping us look into dating with the lens of wisdom that stop just focus. And what people don't think about is I think people date to fill their lives. Oh, I want a companion, I want this. And they think about what they're going to get from the other person. I want someone to love me, take me out to dinner, look after me. So the whole
Correct.
reality of actually, we're bringing, and I call people's lives, we're bringing our worlds together.
Correct.
Everybody has a world, and the
Yes.
man's world has an atmosphere, and the woman's world has an atmosphere. Your daily life, the way you live in a particular atmosphere. It's either peaceful, loving, kind, organized, or it's toxic, chaotic, it's
That's the
confusing.
word.
Yeah.
Chaotic.
And they're bringing that atmosphere to you. And then you've lived in this, you've built this peaceful life, organized life for yourself. And then you've entered a world that is based on, the values of this person. Because people treat you based on their value system, right? They treat you based on how they see someone should be treated. So we tend to ignore red flags. Why do people ignore red flags? What's going on? Why are
Okay, so
people
let's look at that.
ignoring what's going on in the mind? Why are we doing that,
Why
doctor?
do we ignore red flags? Firstly, a number of things. Firstly, we may not know that they're red flags. Let me
Wow.
give you a pure, let me
Good.
give you let me give you a pure example.
Yeah.
A narcissist. If you do not know what narcissism is, how will you identify it? You won't. And then you begin to question yourself and you think, well, maybe it's just me. I don't understand her or him. No, you're being manipulated. But because, as you rightly said, you think everybody's open and transparent like you, it's difficult for you to think like that. Well, why would you want to manipulate me? After all, we're here together, aren't we? We're doing okay together. So that's the
Yeah.
first reason. They
Yeah.
don't actually know it's a red flag. The second
Wow.
reason, they have these alarm bells going off in their head that, oh, that's funny, isn't it?
Something's
She,
off.
she, yeah, she was rude to the waitress. She was rude. There
Yeah.
was no need to speak to her like that just because they
Yeah.
got the order on. You could have corrected her, and then you tell her that wasn't very nice of you. And she said, "Oh, if you don't treat them harshly, they won't listen to your order, and you won't do this." You see what
Wow.
they do? Rather than apologize, they begin to excuse the bad behavior.
Wow.
And then what you need to do is you need to say, "No, no, no, madam, you don't
You
speak
need
to
to
people
get
like
that.
that." Yeah.
Yeah.
If you didn't, then you think, oh well, maybe she's correct. Oh, don't make a scene. You're out to dinner.
Mm,
Let's just enjoy the meal, right? And you think, but that was still a bit off, wasn't it? She was a bit harsh. Why did she need to
mm,
speak to the lady like that?
wow.
Or the man, he's meant to meet you at 7 o'clock, and he turns up at 7:30, and he says hi. He doesn't apologize for turning up late, and then you say, after you're in the car together, you give it about 10 minutes. How was your day? How was your day? Everybody's happy. And you say, Jack, you were 30 minutes late. And he says, so at least I
Mm,
turned up. What are you complaining about? Don't spoil the
mm,
evening, please.
yeah.
So if that was a person coming to me paying my hourly fee, I'll just tell them immediately, don't date him again.
Yeah.
So he turned
Yeah.
up late. He's not apologized. Listen, that makes him a liar, Esther. He's a liar.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
can't be trusted. What he's done
Yeah.
is he's brushed over it as if it was nothing. You're
Yeah.
30 minutes late. You didn't ring in advance to say you were going to be late. You've just turned
Yeah.
up, and you've not apologized, and you've just acted as if nothing has happened.
Yeah.
And then when you then challenge him on it, he now gives you the silent treatment, psychological abuse.
Mm.
He
Mm.
gets moody and gives you the silent treatment.
Yeah.
So I'd be telling you straight away that you're not to proceed with that man any further. Don't. What the
Wow.
good man would do,
Yeah.
say, sorry, Jane, I'm so sorry, I was late, I got held up, no excuses, my fault. I do apologize. I do hope you're well, and I do hope you'll find it in your heart to forgive me with a big smile. I do hope you'll find it in your
Mm.
heart to forgive me. Or
He's
make a joke out
charming.
of it. Yeah, that's right. Yes, sir. Don't worry, you can
Yeah.
have another drink on me, or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, and then laugh. And then she'll say, oh,
He
that's okay.
acknowledges it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay. It's fine. That's how it should be, and vice versa. So what was
Why
the
do
first point we said? With the first point we
Yeah.
said is that they may not know it's a red flag.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
second point that we said
Yeah.
is that they then begin to excuse bad behavior to keep the
Mm.
relationship going.
That point right there is what I was going to ask you. Why are people, and I think I've done this in the past,
We all
is it
have, to be
because
honest.
we want to feel like, oh, let's not judge people too harshly? Because I feel like if I've just met someone, I'm trying to get to know the person and I
Mm.
see some traits and I'm thinking, okay, I'm not going to pull up everything that the person does. Why do we tolerate low value behavior and value the relationship above the values in the relationship? Because a lot of people just want to be married or they just want to be in a relationship and they seem to think being in the relationship is more important than the experience that they're having. They're not loving themselves enough to know what experience should I be having in this relationship.
Okay. And remember what we said when we started.
Yeah.
The first thing people must do before they think about getting married is to do what? To know themselves.
Yes,
That's what I
yes,
said. That's what we're
absolutely.
falling down. And after
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of hours and hundreds of case studies, it's really sad that some
Yeah.
people, just because they want to be in a relationship, they'll tolerate all kinds of nonsense. Some of it
Mm,
they know, some of it they don't know, some of it they know's bad, some of it they excuse away. And the need to be in a relationship is so powerful, to be acknowledged, to be validated is so powerful that they
wow.
put up with it. And let me give you an
Wow.
example. Think about it. You're a lady that's 34 or 35, you've got your life
Mhm.
together, you've got your own small flat in Southeast London somewhere, you've got a nice car, you've saved your money, you're relatively attractive, and all you've met are players.
Yeah.
That's all you've met. You
Story
know,
of my life.
yeah, you're bodacious, you're bodacious in some form or another. You've got nice
Yeah.
skin, and then see you, and then the extra sensory perception goes off, and they think, oh, there's a nice lady over there, and
Yeah.
then what happens is they turn up, and you look at them, and you think, well, he seems nice. He's dressed well enough. He speaks
Yeah.
well. The conversation is easy flowing, and you think, oh God, thank you for sending me this man. God may not have sent the man, and then you
Yeah.
go out on a date or two. He seems to be okay, and then one or two red flags start to pick up here and there, and
Yeah.
then you begin to think, okay, well, let's not say anything just yet. We've only just
Yeah.
started.
You're watching
Let's
it.
give him
Yeah.
a chance. Let's watch
Yeah.
it. Let's give him a chance. His phone keeps going. His phone's never off. The bill comes. He's asking to go 50-50 when the bill comes.
That there, you're never going to see me again.
That's going. He's asking to go 50-50 when the
Yeah.
bill comes. He's thinking to himself, okay, I like her now. She's nicely formed. He rings you up at 10:30 at night and asks to come over, having only met you for a few weeks.
What do you think this
Yeah,
is?
yes, that's right. That's what they do.
Some people are
Uh,
forward like that, though.
yeah, they
Absolutely.
are very, yeah,
They are. They
and
are.
they're
They are.
forward like that because it's worked for them in the past. People
Wow.
that tend to adopt the attitudes that have been
They have
successful for
a
them.
pattern of behavior.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's right. And then it's
Yeah.
up to the other person to check that behavior. It's like a woman that has been out with you a few times, and then they
Yeah.
ask you for money. Oh, you would mind lending me £500 with you? In some cases, they've had sex with you once or twice or three times,
Yeah.
and then they ask you
God.
for money. They do.
Wow.
I call this reverse prostitution. That's what I
Oh
call it.
my God.
Yeah, reverse prostitution. They get you in first, give you some ta ta ta, exact some intimacy, and then they
They were
ask you for
always
money
after
because
the money. Yeah,
yeah,
they'll
yeah,
sell their
that's it.
bodies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it. So rather
yeah.
than asking you
Wow.
for the money up front, that would be too obvious, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
So
they
what
kind of
they do
lead
is they
you into it,
yeah,
and
they
then
lead you
and
into
then
it and then repackage it as a
wow,
loan. They repackage it as a loan. I
wow.
need I need to get some money. I don't mind giving you the deeds to my car or my passport or some other
Are
valuable
people
thing.
really doing this?
I told you, years and years of study. That's what they do.
Oh,
So
wow.
what have we got? We've got the fact that we don't necessarily know that it's a red flag. The
Hmm.
second point we said was that we don't know it's a red flag, so we can't identify it.
Yeah,
Secondly, we think to ourselves, okay, let us not be too harsh on the other person and give them a chance to express
yeah.
themselves. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we ignore it. Thirdly, we think we can handle it, which we can't. And fourthly,
Mm,
we think that people will change or we can change them or help them to change. Now, you can sometimes help someone to change, but you can't change anybody. And as I
yeah.
said, coming back to your last question, why do people do that? If you've been alone a long time, whether you're a man
Mm,
or a woman, from the man's perspective, you meet this lady, she's about 4, 5, 6 years younger than you. She looks drop dead gorgeous and all bouncing and popping all over the place. You think, yeah, I'd love to have her as my girlfriend. My friends
yeah.
would be happy. My friends would be jealous. I feel validated. She's rude. She's disrespectful. And then
Mm,
you keep going and you keep going with it, even though you know in your heart that this is hard work.
something's
You think,
off.
well, yeah,
Yeah,
it's better to
yeah,
have her than to have
yeah,
nobody. When the
yeah,
truth is that you're most probably meant to have maybe dropped her after the first or second date. The first date
yeah,
you go out, yes, for what I call it, for the foundation, to look at the person, and then the
yeah,
second date is for validation. So the
yeah.
foundation is the first date. Who is this person? And on the second date or third date, she will confirm who she is. So if she's
Mm,
good, you'll begin to see it, and if she's bad, you'll begin to fear it. See, people don't just tend to lie with their actions. They can lie with their mouths, but they
yeah,
can't lie with their actions. And when what they say and what they do is the same, a
yeah.
meeting, that's called congruency. They're then congruent. That's what you want. You want someone that's
Mm.
congruent, that the actions match the words.
Honduras and everything, yes.
Most people are not like that. They're
Mm.
just not very, they're not very, what you call it, they're not very
Consistent. Yeah.
they've got an agenda, and
Mm.
so this is another reason why they do it. So what did we say? What we said was the reason why people put up with bad behavior. One, they don't
Mm-hmm.
recognize it as bad behavior. We gave the example of the narcissism. We
Yeah.
don't, or borderline
Yeah.
personality disorder. They don't recognize it. Two,
Yeah.
they've just got into the relationship, so they choose to ignore it.
Yes.
Three, they think that they can handle it. Four,
Yeah.
they're hoping and praying that the person will change and offer them meaningful reciprocity. They
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
meaningful reciprocity. That's
You're
what they're
right.
hoping.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely right.
That's why.
Been there myself. You're
Mm.
absolutely right. What are
And
some of the
this is why
misconceptions? Go ahead. I'm
misconception.
listening.
That's all right. This is why I always advise people. If you're, this is the triangle here. If you're
Yeah.
in the top 20%, it's you I'm talking to. Those are where my clients are. I can't deal with
Yeah.
everyone, so I've got to do some. You're the top 20%. What is a top 20% lady? She's got her life together. She comes from a good home. She's financially stable. She doesn't sleep around. She's got good character, good morals and principles. If that's you as a woman or a man, do not accept anything less than that. The person
Yeah.
that is sitting across the table from you must mirror who you are. And if they
Mm.
don't mirror who you are, if you're not aligned, then you must end the relationship. Thank you,
You're right.
Jane. It was nice to meet you, but I don't think that we're aligned. Let me take this opportunity to wish you all the best. Thank you, John. It was nice to meet you. We're a nice chat, but I don't think that we're aligned. Let me wish you all this opportunity to, let me take this
Yeah.
opportunity to wish you all the best.
Because who you settle for is a reflection of you, right? Whoever you choose to settle for, yeah.
Yeah, whether
It's
you like it or not, what you're
yeah,
saying is that
your
this
choice
person is a
making.
reflection of me, and they're not.
Absolutely. Yeah. You choose someone and you say, okay. And the thing is, Doc, you're waking up our minds because we don't think about this. And I was going to ask, what are some of the misconceptions in Christian dating as well? Because I'm sorry to say, I've seen some Christian marriages that are
Shambles,
just, yeah. And I mean,
shambles.
if the marriage is a shambles, I mean, the signs would have been there from the dating period. The divorce rate in the church is equally as bad as
As a,
unbelievers. So we can't say that, it's the God factor, because the Bible says wisdom is the principal thing. And in all you're
yeah,
getting, get understanding. I think people can over spiritualize the fact that walking together, Amos 3:3 says that can two walk unless they agree. And the more
I
you're
love the
talking
group.
about Miri, it's we're in agreement in the way we live our lives, the things we spend our money on, our values, our morals. The more the areas of our lives agree, the more we're going to be successful
Correct.
in
The
our
more likely
life.
you'll have a successful
Yeah.
marriage. This is so true. Yes, the more
So
successful,
what's
the likely you'll
messing
have a
up
successful marriage.
Christians? I'm fearful. What is happening? Because some people that are getting married today are going to be some of the statistics 10,
Tomorrow,
20 years time. Yeah, they're going to be the divorcees and broken-hearted people and just of tomorrow. So especially in the church, what's happening? What are we not doing in the
okay,
church?
so here's something that I've noticed, and some people won't like this. We understand what grace is, yes?
Yes.
Neither earned or deserved. The grace of
Mm,
God
yes,
rescued you
sir.
from an accident that could have taken your life.
Mm,
The grace of God put you in a position where you got a job that you ordinarily wouldn't get.
come on
Grace
now.
is neither earned or deserved.
Mm,
And so here's the deal. You'll see a lot of pastors pray, God will send you your husband, God will send you your wife.
mm,
When that happens, Esther, that is the grace of God.
yeah.
I've got bad news for you. It won't happen for the vast majority of people.
Mm,
God will give forgiveness to who he will forgive goodness to, and God will bless who he will bless. That is not for us to understand or to try to make head or tail of. So
yeah.
what am I praying? Just like you got off your backside and went out into the workplace to get your degree, we'll go out there into the workplace to find a job. And then while you're studying that job, you go to university, you're getting your degree. You're getting your degree, you have a part-time job. How
Yeah.
many students, how many students
Mm,
today don't have a part-time job? Most of them have a
mm,
part-time job, don't they?
yeah,
They
they
have
do.
some
Yeah.
form of job. That's right.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
got out there, you got off your
They're
backside.
proactive.
Yeah,
Yes.
you worked hard to get
Yeah.
your degree. You went to university and you also got a job.
You're
That is the
intentional.
same. Yes, that is the same
Yeah.
attitude and the same intentional behavior you have to adopt when it comes to finding your
I think you're
your
right,
future.
because when Isaac was looking for Rebecca, Abraham sent his son, and he was very specific. He said, "Go to my people, my tribe." People. So they went into the marketplace
Mhm.
looking for somebody. Yeah.
Yes,
Ruth was positioned in the place where Boaz found her. She wasn't in church praying, da, 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 da,
there
speaking
you
in
go.
tongues and doing
There
this.
you go.
She
There
was
you
in a
go.
place to be found. So you're right. Yeah, I was about to say you're right, Pastor. You're right, Doc.
Is it
Give
not
us
true?
a-
I don't know.
yeah.
The Ruth from the bit I've read,
Mhm.
she was very attractive. She separated herself from the crowd. She was very respectful. And the
Yes.
words that she spoke to Boaz, I think, just floored him. I don't know,
Yes.
was she not the one that then wiped his feet and served him in this way and that way, etc.,
Yeah, she
etc.?
did. She know
There
where
you
to go
go.
and position and stuff. But the
And,
thing is, I'm going to say this as well. Ruth was mentored by her mother-in-law. So her husband had previously died. She was a Moabite woman. So she was actually a foreigner. But her mother-in-law, she said, she had such character. She said to her mother-in-law said, "Ruth, my son and my sons and my husband's dead. Go, you're young. Maybe they were married for about a year or two. Then the husband died. But she was so close to her mother-in-law. She's like, no, where you go, I go. Your God will be my God. I'm not going to leave you." She's like, "Okay, come back to my town." So Naomi brings Ruth back to the town. And then Boaz is a kinsman redeemer for Naomi's family. Naomi actually coaches Ruth. She coaches, she tells her exactly what to do. In the book of Ruth, she tells her, go and glean, which means go and be seen in Boaz's, it says, go and get a job in Boaz's field. Right? Naomi instructs her. She's like, "Oh, where did you work?" She goes, she's actually told her, "Go and get a job." She comes back to,
mhm.
"Where did you work?" She goes, "Oh, I worked in a field that belonged to a man called Boaz." Naomi's like, "Boaz? Wow, he's a millionaire, he's a kinsman redeemer." "Oh, yeah, babe, you found a good field. Now, this is what I need you to do. Stay in that field. Make sure, you do your part, look nice, do this, be respectful." So she was coached. She was literally coached by another woman as
And
to
there you
how
go.
to attract a 1% man like Boaz.
Mhm.
I kid you
So
not.
you know
And
there's something called the 1% man. You know
the one
that. Good.
percent man that
Let
you
me
that
just
you
stop you there. But notice what she did. She put herself in a position for Boaz to see her.
yeah, 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 she did. She did. And I
She
think
put
women need
herself
to
in a
stop.
position. So these
Yeah.
women that say, I don't want to chase any man, it's not your job to chase a
Not
man.
chase,
It's
but be
your job
seen.
to put yourself in a position for him to chase you. And if
Yeah.
he sees value in you, he will. And if he doesn't, then it means one of two things. It means either you're pushing for a man that's way out of your league, which is what a
Yeah.
lot of women do due to their hypergamous nature, or you have to increase your value.
Yeah. Come on now.
You've got to increase your
Absolutely
value.
right. Yeah.
You've got to
I
increase
love
your
that.
value. And to do
Yeah.
that, you need to get you need to get a coach. You
I
can't
was
do it by
about to
yourself.
ask, coaching. Can we stop trying to do relationships and dating on our end? What's the taboo? Why are people not getting coaching? Because they think that, oh, my parents figured it out, my friends figured it out. If you're struggling, if you're in your late 20s, 30s, 40s, and you're not having luck and success in the dating pool, why not get a coach? If you've done everything else, maybe a coach will change the game. What are people's blockers? Is it pride, or what is it that's stopping people from actually getting
Well,
professional embarrassment to get professional help for dating?
yeah.
What do you think?
Well, let's take a look at that question. Why don't people get coaches? Unfortunately, I've got to say this. I'm going to separate two groups of people. The first group are
Mm,
Black people, and the second group are white people.
mm.
White people understand therapy, don't they?
Yeah, they introduced us to therapy. You're right.
Therapy. What does this mean?
Mm,
You've been through a traumatic experience. You need
mm.
therapy. You need a coach, a psyche, etc., 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 a
Yeah,
psychologist to come and
yeah,
speak to you. Now, is
yeah.
it perfect? Maybe not perfect, but will it improve you? Yes. And do
Mm,
you want to be improved? Yes. Again, let me go back to what I said. You want to go and fight Mike Tyson or Evander Holyfield, you would get a
mm.
coach, wouldn't you? You wouldn't dare go and try and do that by yourself. Even those
Yes,
that are experienced fighters have coaches.
yeah,
Uh, Roger Federer and Djokovic and Nadal, they're tennis players, aren't they?
yes, yes,
Don't they have coaches?
yes, yes.
Can
To
the
be
coaches beat them?
successful, yeah,
Can the
yes,
coaches beat them?
probably.
No, the coaches
No,
can't.
okay.
The coaches would most probably get destroyed quickly. No, the coaches
But they
can't
know
beat
the
them.
techniques, they have the
Yeah,
wisdom,
that's
they have
it. They
the
know
knowledge,
that's right.
they
They've
can
got the
advise
wisdom.
them.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
You
yes,
see,
yes.
that's all right, mate. Yes.
Mm.
I mean, think about it. If you're coaching old, how are you going to beat Nadal or Djokovic? No, you don't stand a chance. But they've got the technique. As long as they've
Yeah,
done it before and they know what they're doing, then they can impart knowledge. And how will you
yeah.
know if it's true? Well, I can tell you how you'll know it's true because then the client will retain you. The client
Yes,
will retain you. So if he's retaining you, he's telling you he believes in what you're doing and that you acknowledge his experience and wisdom. So
yeah.
this is what I said. Then when it comes to Black people,
Mm.
I think
Mm.
I've got to
Is it
say
a
this.
culture?
I think, sorry, Esther, I just got to say, I think our psyche has been damaged so badly.
Mm.
Uh, it's been DNA'd through years and years and years and years and years. When a Black man gets any kind of money, what is he likely to buy first, Esther?
TV or a car? Sadly to say that I actually know the answer.
You see that? So look at
Yeah,
that. It's what? Materialism, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
It's materialism.
Well,
Materialism. But if you ask him to go and prepare himself for marriage, he'll say, I don't
mm,
need any of that. No, I'm not paying any coach. That's just a waste of
mm,
money.
wow,
This is such a good question. But wait,
wow.
now, when the marriage is going badly wrong, guess what the Black
Mm.
man wants? What now?
Wants married, he wants the pastor to counsel them. My wife needs counseling.
And that's it.
Wow.
He wants a coach now, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yes. And
Yeah.
guess what he wants the coach to do? Whether it's a pastor or a coach like
A
myself,
normal country,
he wants
yes.
he wants him to perform magic to fix the relationship so that he can enjoy it the way he envisages it in his
Isn't it?
mind,
Yeah.
envisaged in his mind. Do you forgive me?
Yes.
And we're
Yeah.
not magicians.
Wow.
If you've taken on a
Wow.
narcissistic woman, we can't do anything with that. So the
Yeah.
advice is to leave her. And he doesn't want to do that because he's invested so much money. There may be a kid
Time,
involved,
money,
not
energy.
realizing that the
Um,
narcissistic woman is going to ultimately destroy him completely.
that's the end of it. But if you
That's
stay in there, it kills you.
That's where it's going to lead to.
They
And
annihilate you. Yeah. Yeah.
after she's destroyed you, she's going to leave and go and try and do it to someone else.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
those are the two differences.
Wow.
White people understand that therapy is required, that training is
Wow.
required, that education is required across the
Mm,
spheres of endeavor and life itself.
mm,
And they know that that costs money. And depending on who you use, it costs money. So, for example, you could come to me and I might charge you 250 an hour. Or you could
yeah.
go to someone else, like I know, like a Richard Cooper, who will charge you 1,000, and you'll get
Yeah.
the same advice. But they will
Yeah.
actually go and get the advice depending
Yeah.
on where they're at. Remember what I said about the triangle?
The
I'm
triangle,
dealing
yeah.
with the top 20% of people. I'm not dealing with everyone else that can actually
Mm,
afford what we want. You know, and so then what happens is when it's gone wrong, you're speaking to that man and you tell him you're going to need a number of sessions. You know, some of them will need up to 10 hours. So it might cost £2,500. All of a sudden now they're willing to pay it.
mm.
And then you sit down there, you take them through what they've done wrong and how it's gone wrong. And they sit down there going, gosh, I wish I'd known you before. Doctor, I wish
Yeah.
I'd known you before. This is what
Yeah.
you hear all the time. I wish I'd known this before. I wish
Yeah.
I'd known this before.
I
And
think
then what
people,
you
they all
get,
say that because our
they all
mindset.
say that, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Everyone says that. Yeah.
Because now they're mature and they're sober, sobriety has set in. I'm in a bad place.
Absolutely.
I don't know what I'm doing. This man has got he's running game on me. The lady's running game
Yeah.
on me. The marriage I
Yeah.
want, I'm not getting. My money's going. She's rude and
Yeah.
disrespectful. He's a womanizer. He doesn't go, he goes out on Friday and comes back on Sunday morning. He's this and
Yeah.
that. I've got a child. He's not playing his role as a dad. She's
Yeah.
talking to her ex-boyfriends. That her phone keeps going. You see,
Mm.
you can see all of that, and then you're shaking your head because what you're thinking as a coach is all of this was obvious before you married this person.
Yes, sir.
And then you ask them, well, how long did you know them before you married them? 6 months. I heard a word from God. No, you didn't. How do you know you didn't hear a word from God? Because if God sent you a wife, this is not the result you'd be getting.
Mm.
If God sent you a husband, this is not the result you'd be getting. When Ruth met Boaz, is that the result they got?
The Lord makes rich and adds no sorrow to it. Absolutely.
This is what I'm trying to say. So,
Yeah.
so the first thing we need to do is prepare ourselves. Then once we're prepared, the next thing we need to do is to identify another good person.
Yeah. What we
That's where we
deserve.
put that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
first thing, we're not prepared properly. And secondly,
Yes,
we
sir.
don't know how to identify another good person.
A
And
good
I'm
match.
speaking to the men here.
Ooh.
I'm speaking to the men. God gave you the mantle, men. So if the marriage goes wrong, it's your fault. Yes, Dr.
Yeah.
London said it. If the
Mm.
marriage goes wrong, it's your fault. Why? Because you are the one who invited the woman into your life. You
Wow.
are marrying the woman. She's not marrying you. She
Yes,
may
sir.
have jurisdiction over who she sleeps with, but the jurisdiction of over who gets married belongs to men. So if you're
Yeah.
not prepared and then you invite a woman into your life and she turns your life upside down, it's your fault.
Mm.
And as I said before, it's always funny that after the fact, you said you saw me on the podcast earlier today. I think I acknowledged you. You're right. You saw how many hundreds of people were in that podcast.
Yes. Yes.
Guess what they're doing? They're thirsting for knowledge.
Wow.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
350 at one stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I got there, the followership doubled. Those in the eye doubled, and people
Oh,
were
I
saying,
got a
"Yeah,
celebrity on my show.
it did. It doubled, and people were saying, "You make a good team, both of you together. You can help
Yeah.
us solve the issue." Some of the mistakes men had made, some of the mistakes women had made. You've got
Yeah.
350 odd people on the platform listening because
Yeah.
people are thirsty for knowledge and wisdom. So you
Yes.
can see they do need it. But normally what happens is after they've been badly burnt, that
Damage.
the smart men think, I don't know what I'm doing. And
Yes.
these women I keep picking, they're not right. They're not
Yeah.
doing the right thing. They're just not behaving properly. They're
Yeah.
wasting my time. They're not bringing peace. We're not growing as a couple.
Yeah.
What's going on? Then after a while they think, okay, what can I do, Esther? I know what I'll do. Let me go
Yeah.
to TikTok or Instagram. Oh wow,
And start getting
there's
help.
Dr.
Let me
London.
listen.
Yeah. There's Dr. London there. Oh wow,
Yeah.
so that's what happened. Oh
Yeah.
wow, that's what's wrong. Oh
So let's
wow,
flip the conversation, Doc. Hold it right there, because I think we're now leaning into the second part of our conversation, is how to fail-proof marriage, because we've kind of spoken about finding love in 2025. We're speaking to the married people now, and as you're rightly saying, issues are coming up, and these were issues that were not dealt with in the dating stage, and the person has either picked a mismatch or they're patching up their marriage. I always remember that scripture says, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? It doesn't matter how good your intention. There was one day, I think last week, I was in my room And I heard God say to me, and I know it was the voice. It was such a, when God speaks to you, it's very subtle, clear, and you have an epiphany in a moment, like, hmm. And the Lord said to me, if two people want to make a relationship work, the relationship will work. That was the exact, and I heard a male voice say it to me. And I wasn't
You're
thinking,
just
I was just,
right.
yeah. And I
You're
just
just
thought,
right.
that voice just said to me, if two people want to make a relationship work, the relationship will work. And I thought, Lord, what do you mean by that? And then God was showing me whatever excuse someone brings, ultimately, they don't want that thing. They don't want to make it work. Because when you want something, you want something. When you don't want something, you make excuses for it. You don't show up ready to. So now you're married to somebody who's not trying to act, who hasn't been trained, who's not willing to put in the work to make the marriage work. You're starting to see some issues. How do people, early marriages, first, they always say the first 5 years is difficult. Why is that? What's happening in the first 5 years of marriage? That
Well,
you're,
okay, but let's go back to what I said earlier on.
yes,
Remember what I said? We spoke about arranged marriages, didn't I?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
And then what I said was that you just think about, there's somebody here in England and there's somebody in Brazil, and there are the families in between, and they say, I've got a daughter here, you've got a son.
Mm,
They've both been well trained, and then they come together and they both look at each other and they say, ideally, I wouldn't necessarily have picked him or her, and vice versa. They get married and the marriage begins to work because what? They want it to work. Two,
yeah.
they're both prepared. Three, they've
Mm,
identified somebody like them. They want the marriage to work. They are both
yeah.
prepared and
Yeah.
they identify somebody like
I
them.
love that. Yeah. They want it.
Now,
They want to be
so,
married. Yeah.
so now all they need to do is just do the work. So they don't
Yeah.
need to have known each other before. So let's just
Yeah.
imagine, I'll bring
You're
it
right.
home. Imagine I met you and you met me. And I
Mm-hmm.
say, leave where you're living, come and live with me in this house with me, and let's just make it
Yes,
work. And
six-bedroom house. I'll move in.
you say, and then you say, and then you say, okay, my husband, where's your master plan? I'm giving
Mm,
some snippets away. Where's your master plan? Most women would never ask for that. They don't even know they need
wow.
to, and most men don't have one. That's just a
Wow.
snippet. The post is quite
Yeah.
excellent.
What
That's
are we
where's
doing?
your,
Yeah. What are
where's
you
your
doing in
master
my
plan?
life? Why are you
Mm,
inviting me into your life? To do what?
If
What am
it's
I
not,
doing? Yeah.
that's right. Most women will never ask a man that. I
Deep
don't know a
work.
woman that's ever asked him that. So I think,
Mm,
as you say, I think God has put me here for a reason. And
yeah.
don't forget, I'm doing the work. Not that I'm sitting down folding my arms and saying, God,
Mm,
send me this. God, no, I'm working very hard at it.
yes.
And it's through
Wow.
that work that the doors will be opened for what you
Yeah.
want. So what are
Yes.
we getting wrong the first 5 years? So let's go back again. I
Yes,
said it at
sir.
the beginning, didn't I? That you have a man that's prepared, and then
Mm-hmm.
that man finds a woman that's prepared, and then together they're both prepared. That will last. They
Yeah.
respect each other, not love. They respect each other, then they have a purpose, and they both work towards the purpose. Now, when you have respect year after year after year after year, the respect is the cake. Yes, the
Yeah.
respect, the love is the icing on the cake. What tends to happen to icing after a while? It melts away.
Yes.
But the respect and the character, that guess what? It stays. That is
Yeah.
why there are lots of women and men in relationships where they don't love each other, but they what? They respect each
They
other.
respect
And
each other.
yeah, and they respect what they built, and they respect the
Yeah.
time they've been together. That's why they stay. Sometimes the
Mm.
intimacy is not the best, and they both wish it could be better, but they don't leave and they don't cheat because of the character they've got,
The
which stems
marriage.
from the home.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
valuable.
which
The
stems
marriage
from the home.
itself.
Very valuable.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's valuable. Now,
Yeah.
when you get somebody in the first 2, 3, 4 years, 50% of relationships are ending in divorce before 7 years. And that
Wow.
7 years has now dropped right down to less than 5 years. So,
Wow.
which means if 100 people get married today, within the first 5 years, half of them will get divorced. So that tells us two things, that both of them are not ready. And listen well. The man is not ready because he's not prepared himself, one, or two,
Mm.
because he doesn't know how to identify somebody that is. Those are the
Yeah.
only two reasons. Let's say again, the man is
Wow.
not ready because he's not prepared himself, or two, he is prepared, but he doesn't know how to identify a woman that is prepared.
Mm.
The woman is not ready because she's not prepared herself.
Yeah.
She doesn't know how to be a wife. And two, she doesn't understand what a husband is. Or
Yeah.
two, she does understand what her husband is, but because she's not prepared, she tells lies.
Mm. Come on now.
She tells lies. This is a good man. Listen, I'm not worthy of him. I can engage in chameleonism. I will lie. I will cheat. I will get married because I need the marriage. I need the validation. I want the ring. I want to throw the bouquet. I want to go to the Maldives.
On
I
the
want to go
wedding,
to St. Lucia. I want to have the wedding. I want the validation of somebody claiming me to be their own. I want to leave my father's name and take on the name of a man because he sees value in me. But I don't really have any value. I'm unstable, I'm toxic. I've slept around. I've got this and I've got that. I get moody. I can be a shitty person sometimes. But I'll hide all of that now and I'll try to rush him into marriage so that he doesn't see those flaws of mine. So once I'm married, it doesn't really matter.
I've got him now.
I've got him now. So now he can find that I can drop the mask. And so then they
No.
stay for a few years.
Be wearing headscarf at home. She's not looking as beautiful as before. She drops the effort. It's just like, well,
that's it.
As I am.
I'm here now. And then they have a baby and they think, well, I can get divorced, I can get some money, I can leave, and I can go back to the streets. I can go back to being single because I actually didn't want to be married for a long term. I wanted a wedding, but I didn't want the responsibility of marriage. So those are the two things we've said, haven't we? The man, I blame you. Prepare yourself. And this is where the coaching comes in. Coach, how do I identify a woman that's married? Book some sessions. Spend 1,000, spend 2, spend 3. Wait for it. I've asked this question to men all the time, and 100% of the time, I've gotten the same answer. 100% of the time. And here's the question. For those of them, Esther, that have had failed marriages that have gone badly wrong. And I said to them, knowing what you know now after the fact, if you could turn the clock back, and I turned up as a coach to you, and I said, listen, and I said, give me £10,000 and I will prepare you before you get married. Would you do it? Guess what answer they told me?
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see now why? Because you've been through the court system, they've destroyed your finances, they've taken your child, they've messed up your home, they've damaged your psyche, you're not well. And then I say, how much does that cost? They can't put a price on it. You've got a woman that's the mother of your children, that's lazy, that's rude, that's disrespectful, the house is a mess, the children aren't well trained, you're at your wit's end, and thanking God to keep your mind together to get through it. If I asked you to give me £10,000 now to teach you how to pick the right woman, would you do it? All of them say yes. You know what some of them say? I would have given you 20.
I need to start doing courses. What's going on? You're right.
I would have given you 20. Because what they've been through, wait for it, they can't reverse it. Once you're married and you're divorced, it doesn't matter what you say. People will look at you differently. There must be something wrong with him. Maybe he abused her. There was DV involved. There's this, there's that. None of that may be true. Remember what I said? He might be a man that was prepared, like our brother Mark. But he didn't know how to pick. He didn't know how to pick the right woman. It's still your fault. Because you picked her, isn't it? The same with the woman. The man did this. He was the man treated me badly. He did this. He did that. So you see that when you look at the equation, it's both about what the man should pick the wife properly, correct? And guess what? The lady's father should pick the man properly.
Vetting.
So you see that the process shouldn't involve women. Dr. London here. It's not meant to involve women. The process involves men. You from your father's house, as a man, you prepare yourself and you go and pick a wife. And the wife,
I will look
the father of the wife is meant to vet the man before handing the daughter over. That's why it's breaking down. So rule 1, the man is not ready and he doesn't know how to pick a woman. Rule 2, the man is ready, but he doesn't know how to pick a woman. On the female side, the woman isn't ready. She doesn't know how to pick a man. Or the woman is ready, but she picks the wrong man looking at the wrong things. So those are the 2 main reasons why it's failing. 3, unrealistic expectations.
Let's talk about
marriage, as you rightly said, is a Hollywood fantasy where it's one holiday after another, a roller coaster of enjoyment and good times. Absolute nonsense. And so what happens is that the expectations you were hoping to get from the marriage you're not getting, and because you don't have the discipline or character, what you do, you head for the door. You head for the door.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You're not getting, your expectations aren't being met. You're fed up. You head for the door. You don't
And
have the
that is
character
a
to build
big one.
anything.
That's a
Yeah,
big one.
they head
Expectation,
for the door,
marriage,
are
what
not being met.
people are
Unrealistic.
disappointed. Yeah, you're right. People are highly disappointed. They have realistic expectations of their spouse, which they, do you know, the thing is, when someone's dating, they might accept certain things, but they seem to think as soon as you get married, the person's going to change and switch into marriage mode. My mother's
No,
always said something to me. And I've always, and every time I hear her voice when she says this to me, she goes, whatever you won't tolerate in marriage, do not tolerate in the dating stage. She says,
correct.
because if you tolerate it in the dating
It will
stage,
amplify. It amplifies.
don't expect anything less in the marriage.
It'll
And
get worse.
I hear her voice. And when I think about letting certain things go, and I think that's the issue for me. I can't deal with that. I'm not going to be able to spend the rest of my life committed to. And it's the thing. People ask, you're committing your life. We make
And how
such
many
a,
lives do you have? You have
yeah,
one life,
one. We
and you
make such a,
can't reverse it. You can't reverse what happens.
yeah. People have died in marriage. People have been killed by their spouses. People have been traumatized. They've been damaged. They've given their life, their years, their virtue to someone who is absolutely undeserving of them
Thank you.
because they were not educated enough, or they didn't have the wisdom to think about this marriage in a logical way rather than being ruled by the emotions. And I think as Christians, we need to allow God to teach us some practical ways of looking at marriage rather than this airy fairy Hollywood fantasy of we're going to wear a white dress and do this. I know someone got married. The marriage lasted a year. A year later, she was divorced. She was gone. She's like, no, I ain't doing this. She's like, forget this. And I knew it wasn't going to last because during the dating stage, there was a lot of turbulence. And I was like, this, and I said, this marriage ain't going to last. I think, why is she still marrying him? And I just kept, it's not my business, or because when you talk too much to people, they'll think you're a hater. I thought, you know what?
Okay, so
Your
let's look at
choice.
that point. Let's look at that point. So I want to talk about that. Thank you for bringing it
Yeah.
up because I've forgotten. When
Yeah.
you talk too much, people think you're a hater.
Mm-hmm.
100% correct.
Mm.
Dr. London is about solutions. Having the
Mm.
knowledge is one thing, imparting it is another, and creating good
Yeah.
solutions for the future is another. So what
Yeah.
should you do? Here's what you do. Hi, Esther. How are you? Yeah, you've been dating Jack now. And
Mm.
Esther, the truth is, forgive me for saying, I don't think that Jack is really your type. You're always having these arguments and disagreements like you've been
Mm.
telling me about. Esther, can you do me a favor? What's that? I'm not one to push into your business, but do me a favor.
Yeah.
Esther, can you go and get a coach? Go and spend some money
Mm.
with a coach and tell him and let him guide you or let her guide you. Get a
Yes, I
coach.
like that. Yes,
Get
I
a
like
coach.
that.
Don't listen
That's
to
a good
me.
way. Yeah.
Go and get a
Yeah,
coach. If
not
it's
too close to
£200 an
home.
hour,
Yeah.
yeah. If
Yeah.
it's £200 an hour, spend
Yeah.
2 hours. That's £400 or £500.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Because now you're married as a woman, you've married
Mm.
this man, and it's gone wrong. Now,
Yeah.
as they would say, your head is clear, your eyes are clear now. You've
Yeah.
seen all your mistakes. And now
Shine,
what
shine.
happens
Your
is,
eyes will
yeah, the
shine.
music shine. That's it. Now you've come out of that now. You've got to
Mm.
heal from that. So you've got to get therapy. If you don't, the chances are no one else will take you on. Have you been to a
Mm.
therapist? That's going to cost you money, more money than you would have paid the coach, by the way. I'm talking to
Yeah.
women. If you've been in a bad relationship and you don't get therapy, do not expect any man of consequence to take you on. They won't. And neither
Yeah.
should they. Right. So
Yeah.
let's continue from there. So you've now
Wow.
gotten the therapy and you're healed and you've been divorced. And
Mm.
this man of consequence, as I put it in the course, will come along, is going to start asking you certain questions.
Mm.
And you might not like the answer to the questions.
Wow.
And then what you're going to see is he's going to maybe turn up in a suit like me or something. He's going to be the kind of man that you want. And he's going to say, well, I'm sorry, Jane, but I don't think you're just ready for a
Mm.
relationship with me. And Jane's going to
Mm.
say, oh, why? Oh, why? Because Jane can realize that this is a good man. And this is the kind of
Mm.
man she should have chosen at the
Yeah.
beginning. The energy is
Mm.
good. You're balancing
Yeah.
each other out. There's no
Mm.
arguments. There's
Yeah.
mutual respect. Even in
Yeah.
silence, Esther, there's respect in silence. Just sit in
Yeah.
the same room. And the woman is thinking, yes, I feel safe and
I'm
I
at
feel
peace.
protected. Yes,
Yeah.
please. And the
Yeah.
man is thinking, yes, she respects me. She honors
Yeah.
me. I feel good
Yeah.
too. Just by
Yeah.
being in the same room without saying anything.
Yeah.
So going a second time is very difficult because the men
Yeah.
that you want are going to ask you lots of questions, and many of
Mm,
those questions you won't be able to answer. You're not going,
yeah.
not to the satisfaction of that man, and it is not
Yeah.
you that's going to dictate if you get married. It's the man. So you
Yeah.
must quote must satisfy him. And now
Yeah.
men are more aware; they're going to demand that, and most women aren't going
Yeah.
to qualify. So when they
Yeah.
make statements like marriage is not an achievement, it is. Marriage is
Mm,
an achievement. And a successful, long lasting marriage is a massive achievement because most people can't
yeah.
do that.
With the
So it
grace
is
and
an
help of
achievement.
God. Yes, you're right.
It is a
You're right.
massive achievement. And so this is what I tell, this is what I've just said. Esther,
Mm,
you've been going out with James for some time. I'm not sure
mm,
about him. You're always complaining and always saying he's doing this and doing
yeah.
that.
You're not
So
happy. You're going through the,
before
yeah.
you tie the knot, can you just do me a favor? What's that? Can you go and get a coach? Take it before a coach,
Mm,
not church people. Go before a coach and do that. And coming to the church,
yeah.
I have lots of issues with this. The first issue I have is that churches are happy to marry people they don't know.
Mm. Talk about that.
Churches are happy to marry people they don't know,
Mm,
which, in my opinion, is ungodly.
mm,
Churches will marry you if you're rich and famous.
mm,
I could put
mm,
money on it. If my celebrity rises the way you think it will, and I
mm.
turn up tomorrow with a nice wife and I go to a church where they don't know me, in 3 months' time, I say we're getting married, they will marry me and put it on
Yeah.
social media to
Money
bring the
talk.
congregation. Yeah, money talks to bring the congregation to their church. And I will
Yeah.
think you don't know me from Adam. What
Yeah.
the church should do is say, okay, doctor, if you want to get married to this lady, we don't know you. You've got to be here 18 months to 2 years before we can do that. So we can
Yeah.
take a good, long, hard look at you. Let's see if you actually turn up at church first. Do that.
Yeah.
Let's see if you're helping the church. Let's see what you're doing. Do that.
Mm,
Do that, if you will. Let's see how godly you are. Do that.
mm,
So that's the first problem.
mm.
Secondly, the program, what they call it, the premarital counseling.
Yeah.
It's getting better now, but it isn't very good. It's not very good. I'm
Yeah.
saying again, you need to get an independent
A lot
coach.
of it's all submit to your husband.
Yeah, that's it.
You need to provide for your wife. Then get some real
Yeah,
coach. Yeah.
that's it. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So not very good. It's changing now from what I can hear from the people on the
It is.
podcast. They say
Some
it's
great
getting, yeah,
Christian coaches on the scene
yeah,
now that are
yeah.
really
That's
starting
it.
to
So
have real
it's
issues. Yeah.
changing now.
Yeah.
And when it changes, you see this triangle, you're going to work out that 50% of people, Esther, are not ready for marriage.
Wow.
And and of that triangle, a good number of those 50% that aren't ready are getting married, which is why it's failing.
That's
And guess
scary.
what? It's scary. A lot of the 50% of people that are ready for marriage are marrying those that aren't ready.
And you're right, because wow, that to me, I mean, as someone that's never been married, I personally feel God has been protecting me. When I was young, I had lots of guys wanting to marry me, and I mean, I'm still young now-ish, but there was always no. It was I've never had this urgency to be married. And I'd never. And my mom was like, I don't want to get married. I said I do, but I'd never had an urgency. It was just nothing that. It was. I just never had this urgency that. Oh my God! It was just nothing that really pushed me to over the time. So as I got older, I thought, and I remember practically saying to myself, oh, I think I should think about getting married now. This is like mid-30s. I was like, oh, actually, Esther, getting on a bit, you need to kind of think about. So I was open to meeting someone, and I did, and then, whatever happened. So I felt that I never really put myself or pushed myself out there. But now I've been following you, I'm getting more guidance, and I'm thinking, the Esther I was 20 years ago, knew none of this. That girl would have probably gone through some traumatic marriage of some sort if I'd have
Which
jumped
would have
in.
damaged you, so badly.
And I love God with all my heart. And I'm anyone that's close to me, I don't care how hard and how strong, I'm very tender-hearted. I'm extremely sensitive, very sensitive. It's God that's had to give me strength to stand up for myself. Usually I was a timid person. I was quite shy. God has built my character over the years to find my voice. Me as a 25-year-old getting married with all of that, I could not even. I'm looking at my younger self and saying, "Nah, you're nowhere near." And my older self now is saying, as much as I'm ready to be a wife and get married, I'm thinking, "Oh, thank God I'm hearing all of this now," because the people in marriage who never had any of this coaching, they were never told the realities of the day-to-day expectation of what comes into your marriage and that whole preparation. Now, we've been talking about internal forces, both parties being prepared, having a mindset, picking right and doing right. What are some of the external factors that affect marriages? In-laws, finances, sexual problems, some of the problems that arise within the marriage that may not necessarily be the fault of either couple, but it's something they now need to deal with as an external factor that is now affecting or pressurizing the marriage. So you've got a couple that they may love each other, they may be financially stable, things go. There's a mother-in-law issue. The husband or the wife has a sexual function issue. Maybe the wife is not into it. That's what there's something. It could be an infidelity issue. There's a stepchild somewhere. They're trying to manage all of this kind of, the fact that the guy's had children before. He now needs to manage his mother's. I hate that word, baby mother, with a passion. It's such a good topic, but he needs to manage his baby mama and his kids, and that woman can come from a low value family, and he's now remarried and he's having to deal with that toxicity. It's going to affect the wife. So all these third party issues. Let's take one of those examples. How do we unpack those things and now put pressure on a seemingly good marriage? Because marriage is going to be tested, right? The unity.
Well, the storms will come.
Yeah.
The storms will come. So let's look at what you said. One of the reasons that external factors ruin marriage. Firstly, there wasn't enough honesty. They're selective with the truth. They're selective with the truth. I won't tell her about my child in Africa until we're married. Because if I tell her she's a beautiful woman and she knows I have another child, because her value is high, sexual marketplace value is high, she won't marry me. She has other options. So what I'll do is I'll lie or I will hold the truth and tell her after the fact. And when she says, "Well, why didn't you tell me before?" I'll say, "Because if I told you, I thought you wouldn't marry me." So now she's married to him. Remember what I said, you can't reverse it, can you? Yeah. You're married to him. You can't. Yeah. That's one of the examples. People are not honest. Secondly, social media. You're meant to have all of these expectations. Thirdly, feminism. Feminism. The biggest lie of all time.
Yes,
women and men are equal. Women and men are equal.
My job any day and be in the house. I ain't got time for this yet. Work. Who said women should work? I'm joking.
Yeah. No. Let's look at what you said. Many a truth said in jest.
I say this all the time. I'm like, my cousin's living my life. She's a stay-at-home mom with kids, and she's like, she wants to go out to work. I said, how do you get my dream? And I'm out here working. God's got me doing ministry, building a career. My prayer was to be a housewife. I used to watch Get a House on the Prairie. I said, God, when I get older, I'm going to be a housewife and have 6 kids. Yeah, I didn't see anything else. All this, I'm like, this wasn't the plan. And my cousin's just laughing because she's like, how am I a stay-at-home mum with children? And we laugh about how our lives have been unfolded in reverse to what we both wanted. So it's just hilarious to us. But it's true. For me, it's true. Right.
So then here's how I would have seen someone like you, Esther. You're married, you've got 2 kids, and you're running your marketing business from home.
Yes.
That's what you're doing. You're running your marketing business. So now you're totally fulfilled. You go to church on Sunday, maybe on Tuesday evening, and then you pray every day with your kids. You lead them in the godly way. You're married to a hardcore alpha male who doesn't take any rubbish but sensitive.
Yeah, bring that guy.
And because he's very disciplined, you feel protected. You know that you can't go left or right of center. They won't tolerate that. And that creates protection. A man that can easily be led or manipulated, women don't respect him. And they feel very unsafe. He brings order, the school fees are paid. He lives in a house like maybe like this one. Hello, anyone? And you know, and the bills are paid. The bills are paid. That's what you want. And then you've got your marketing managing firm where you're maybe managing people like myself and some other people.
Yeah.
You've got 4
Yeah.
or 5 clients and you're earning some serious thousands of pounds every month. And your husband's a
25,000 a
consultant
month.
or a banker or something of this
Yeah.
nature, and you're doing well.
Yeah.
That is what most women would want, especially if they're educated
Yeah.
to a degree and they've done hard work. Stay at home and then be in total control of the 2 yummy babies you've got that you're looking after. Pick them up from school, drop them off at school. You're part of the PTA meeting. You've got a full life. You've got to manage your husband. You've got to manage your home. You've got to manage yourself. You've got to manage your children. You've got to manage your business, and you've got to manage God too, manage God's work. You see how full that is. So here's the problem with that. You see what all of that I've just mentioned.
Yeah.
It's bad news. Only 20% of women can do that competently. So what happens is the man ends up picking up a lot of the slack, and then he's overburdened, or the other way around. The woman has to pick up too much slack for the man. You know, when he starts taking the children to school, he's snoring or he's asleep or something. He doesn't want to wake up to make that extra. So the woman's got to do it. And then when the woman comes back, that's it. When the woman comes back, he's not cleaned the house or done anything. He's not cooked the food, or he's not done anything to help her. So she's got to come back from that and now do her job again.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in the evening, he jumps on her. So this is where the problems are. So firstly, we want openness and honesty and transparency. And to help you get that, you need to have a coach to help you. And then when you've done that openness, honesty, and transparency, you test it, which is why there has to be courtship. Back in the day, we didn't have courtship. You went straight from your father's house to your husband's house. But that's because you were a virgin. So once you're no longer a virgin and you slept with a number of men have the right to know what they're dealing with. And women have the right to know what they're dealing with. So there has to be courtship. Sorry. Once you're not a virgin, you've been in a relationship with a number of men. Men have a right to know what kind of women they're marrying and what kind of traumas you may or may not have taken on from the previous relationships you've had. So there has to be courtship. So that the full seasons, there are 4 seasons to everyone: the good, the bad, the nice, and the ugly. Oh, sorry. The good, the nice, the bad, and the ugly. There are 4 seasons to everyone. And you want to see the good seasons and you want to see the bad seasons. And you need to know that the bad seasons you can manage.
When
the
people
good things are what attract you. The good things are what attract you. He's nice, he's kind, he's warm, he's caring, but he can be quite violent.
What is she like when she's angry, when she's upset?
Yeah, that's it. The fishmonger's wife.
I had a friend that was dating a girl. I mean, you know, he's telling me she's my soulmate. They loved each other to the bits, but this girl was toxic. She threw his laptop through the wall. That was like, I don't care how much I love this girl. Her anger issue is scary. And he ended the relationship there because of her anger issue.
That's exactly what I said.
He just said nothing.
Love has got nothing to do with this.
And you're absolutely right.
As I said, and once you start to see the signs, remember, what does Thessalonians say? Thessalonians, the first book of Thessalonians 5, 17 to 22. I think verse 20 or 21 says, test all things. Hold on to what is good. Hold fast to what is good. Test all things. So that applies to relationships.
Yes.
Test all things. Hold fast to what is good. So you must test a woman and you must test a man. So it's easier for us to do that now because we're much older. We have a lot more experience. But once you sign that, people get irritable. They give you silent treatment. They become a bit rude and sneak diss you here and there. Get rid of them. They've got an attitude problem. Get rid of them. Right? They're not meant to be in a marriage. They don't have the caliber for that. They don't have the discipline and the character. They don't.
Wow.
So that's where we are with that one. So that's what you get. Firstly, we need honesty. Right. And that's why I said if you have a coach, then that will help you to explore some of these areas that you don't know you need to explore or how to go about exploring them. And if you don't do it now, you're going to be stuck with it later. And once you're stuck with it later, you can't reverse it. You've married this man in England and Wales, and he's told you he's got a 14-year-old son in Nigeria. Tough. You're now a stepmom.
Yeah.
You can divorce him, but if you divorce him, does that mean you weren't married before? No. You've been married.
Yeah. You've got a strike.
You married this man, and he's a compulsive gambler. He's gambled most of the money away. You can complain about that all you like. He hid it from you. Maybe he did.
My friend did.
He hid it.
The savings away. Yeah.
That's it. He's gambled it all away. And then one day you come back and there are bailiffs at the house moving you out of the house. And you're saying, what's going on? Well, he's owed us this, there, and we've gone to court and they've given us an order. So you're out today at 12 o'clock. So get all your things.
Wow. And these are the
Imagine,
issues that people face within.
yeah,
But what about some of the sexual issues? Like, and I heard someone say that money, sex, are some of the
the,
big kind of issues that come up in
the
marriage.
triangle here. So
Yeah.
respect, money, and sex.
Yeah.
Respect at the top, money here, sex here. As long as there's respect and one of these other two, the marriage can survive.
What's
But
the
without
emphasis
respect,
on sex? Like, what's in marriage? Like, it's from both parties. Is it the man? Is it the woman? Because a lot of my married male friends talk about how, and I know sex for men generally
it's
is a
food, isn't it?
priority.
It's
Yeah.
food. It's food.
And that word right there, because I think women's view of sex is almost like,
Functioning.
yeah, it's an activity.
It's
Whereas a
functioning.
man views sex as, I need sex like I need to have a glass of water.
Yes.
He's just like, yo. So the mindset towards it. So women sometimes don't understand that a man's need for sexual fulfillment is, and I say to some of my friends that, look, having regular sexual intercourse with your husband is what you sign up for when you get married. And the Bible even says that the husband should not deny the wife, and the wife should not deny the husband. Your body's no longer your own. So when people weaponize sex in marriage, some women, I know women that say, oh, I don't like having sex with my husband, they avoid it. And then the man is now literally sexually starving. He can't think, he can't concentrate, he's sexually frustrated. It affects his ability to function.
The
And
function.
yeah, and God has designed you as the wife to feed him sexually. And what that does, no, and I've read about this, it actually bonds you. The difference between people who are just friends, brother and sister, and people who are married is actually the sex. When you're just friends with someone, you share your life together, you might love the person, you like being together, but the sex is what reinforces the husband and wifeness of the marriage. It's the thing that bonds the two. So the less of that you're doing, the more you kind of, I think people talk about, men get irritable. You no longer feel bonded with your partner. Talk to us about that. Some of the women need to understand how important is sex in marriage. Like, as a man, what should women be expecting? Those who are married and who just don't like sleeping with their husbands, how can you let them get up to speed with what's going on with this sex thing in marriage? I just don't think women know. They're not coached. They just don't know. My friend was like, oh, I bought my friend, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I bought him lingerie to give his wife as a friend, because I said, give her this. And I bought it from, so he's like, where am I going to tell you got it from? Just say you bought it. And then, because I wanted them to, obviously I know he's my very good friend. I know him, but I'm not as close to the wife. And I was like, you need to encourage her. You need to kind of help her. You need to kind of, so I was just trying to help the situation as an outsider without really getting involved. So that was just me hearing some of his stories. So what are the women not doing? What are we not doing? What are they not doing in marriage sexually?
Okay. You said it yourself. Do not deny the wife, do not deny the husband.
Mm.
Sex for men is food. It's absolutely necessary. All food is necessary for human beings, isn't it?
Yeah.
And sex is also food for men. Now, women and men, they both like sex. Now, hear this and hear this well. We understand that there are sex shops, don't we? We understand what a sex shop is, yes?
Mm.
And in these sex shops, who do you think they cater to the most?
Men or women, actually? Women. Yes, so
The sex
true.
shops are
Women.
working because they cater for women. So that shows you that women do like sex. Now, it may be after some time they have children. I'm just writing that in the course now. And
Yeah.
they have postnatal depression. And so they go off. So the
Something
man has to help
changes.
them come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes the women are very strong. And what they do is they manipulate the man into not having sex, but the man is continuing to provide all of his duties. This
Yeah.
is highly deceitful and dishonest. So again, you can see now why there's courtship.
Yeah.
So just think about this. Think about it. You get with a woman and you date her for 2 or 3 years, and you tell her up the front that we're going to date for 2 or 3 years and get married. And she's got to be intimate with you regularly, 2-3 times a week for that 3 years.
Quite contractual. When you
No,
marry
you
me,
don't actually have to say that. Don't have
yeah,
to say.
the
You just have to know it in
expectation.
your mind.
Yeah,
No, you
yeah.
just have to know it in your mind. And what
Oh,
normally
that's what
happens,
women should expect. At least a minimum of 2-3 times a
yeah,
week.
2-3 times a week, yes.
A woman should go
And
into the mindset. Okay, as a
yeah,
wife,
yeah.
I'm
I've got
expected to see my husband
two,
at
three
least
times a week.
prep
Yeah,
yourself for that. Okay, that's
two,
good
three
to
times a
know.
week. So once every other day or once every 2 days. So Monday, then Wednesday, then
Okay.
Friday, then maybe Saturday. Yeah. Yeah. So if you do that, so
On
that's like
Sunday,
12.
the Lord's Day.
Yeah, yeah. So 12 times a month. Now, if she does that for 3 years, the chances are she'll keep doing it because that's what she's
Okay.
been doing. So here's
Yeah.
what tends to happen. From the woman's side, she sees this man, he's a great guy, but she's been traumatized by a previous sexual experience. She might be frigid. So what she does is she tries to rush the marriage and
Wow.
tries to hide the sexual aspect so that the
Wow.
man does not see that, because she understands that if the man knows what her trauma is, then he won't marry her. Remember what I said at the beginning? It goes back to the foundation. There must be courtship. The first thing you must do is what? Understand yourself.
Yeah.
What type of man do you want to become? And then what type of woman are you going to get married to? But whatever type of woman you're getting married to, whether it's a stay-at-home wife, the hybrid, the boss lady, whatever, you must understand her and she must be a good person. And you cannot find that out in a few months. And I've said before, I'll say again for the sake of completeness, once a woman has had various sexual partners, she cannot rush you into marriage. You need to know what you're dealing with. Women and men don't treat sex the same way. With men, it's functional. With women, it's emotional. Yeah. So right. And so what will happen is the woman will have sex with him a good number of times before marriage, rush him into marriage, which means normally a year. And then afterwards, the sex will stop and the man is now lost. He says, but you were having sex with me 2 or 3 times a week before we got married. Why are you no loving having sex with me now? Well, the reason why she's not having sex with you now is because she never really fancied you before. And she's lied to you. How could you be having sex 3-4 times a week? And then as soon as you get married, a month or 2 later, it all stops. That's because it was a lie to start with. She doesn't enjoy the
Was
sex with you.
dating him, yeah.
Yeah. Well, how
Giving
do
him
we
what
know?
he needed to get the wife position.
Yeah,
To get
what we call marital bait and switch. So marital bait and switch, that's what it's called, MBS.
Wow.
Right. And so then what happens when the man begins to realize, they begin to see that, yeah, maybe there's a point there. She started off okay. That's to get you to commit. Now she's got you to commit. She can reveal her true self. So this is what I meant about preparedness. Remember what I said. The man must first of all what? Know himself to be a good man, got to build himself. Then he's got to know how to do what kind of man he wants to be. Then he's got to be able to do what? Identify a good woman.
Wow.
Right. And so one of the ways you do that is by you vet her. And you need, in my opinion, 36 months to do that.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you write down some number of things, and she has to qualify to be the wife. And sexual intimacy is one of them. And then you tell her up front in advance that if we get married, you are asking me not to have sex with anyone else. Is that correct, Esther? And if you're going to do, if you're going to do that, I'm going to need to have sex with you at least 3 times a week. Are you able to do that for the next 20 years?
Wow. This marriage thing is not, it's not a joke, is it?
Dr. London is here for a reason.
Yeah.
You're seeing now, there's a snippet I'm letting release because you invited me on your show.
Yeah,
Ask her now.
Yeah.
Come on now. I'm going to have sex with you now for 3 times a week, up to that, for the next 20 years. Are you able to do that? Wow. Then there's silence in the room. Now, here's what you'll hear from the woman. Well, I don't think you should put it that way. That sounds very functional. It sounds like a contract. And then you say, well, that is because it is a contract. So let me help you, Esther. I'm going to marry you. Is it my job to pay the mortgage?
100%. You're the man.
And the mortgage is going to last for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Should I be paying it for the next 20 years?
Yeah.
Yes. Why is it that women understand that very easily? But wait for it. it's not spoken about, is it? It's an unspoken
Mm,
rule. You
mm,
see, I'm paying the
mm,
mortgage. Which man is going to tell the woman that I'll pay the mortgage while we're courting, but as soon as we get married, I'll stop paying it? Which man is going to tell a woman that? And equally, which woman would accept that?
mm.
Do you know any woman that would accept that? No,
No, no.
no. You've got to pay that mortgage to the end. There's
Yeah.
another spoken rule about sex, which is where the man gets it wrong. He thinks the sex he was getting before, he's going to keep getting. The woman
Mm,
knows that the fact that you're paying, you're going to keep paying. Do you see the deceit and dishonesty there?
mm,
So the man takes it for granted that the intimacy, which is what makes the man and wife, is going to continue. It may not. The wife does not take for granted that you're going to keep paying the mortgage. She doesn't take it for granted. She knows you're going to pay it.
mm. Whether or
Tangibles
not
versus
there's
intangibles.
intimacy.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
not. I think she knows you're going to pay it. And you're going
yeah.
to look after those kids and you're going to pay the bills. So now what
Otherwise,
she
you're not
got,
the man. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
then she'll
Pressure
shame
to
you
be
and guilt you.
man.
That's it. So this is what you get.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes. So this is what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get.
Mm. Wow, Doc, we can go on. We've been going on for over an hour and 20 minutes. I think I'm going to try and
Yeah.
round us up in the next
All right.
10 minutes as we continue to kind of talk about this. And I know, and I wanted us, and I love the fact that you're here because a lot of my viewers are Christians. I want us to, we're talking about the wisdom to apply into marriages now and some of the stuff that, you know, the word of God has teached us and stuff. Something I'm particularly passionate about. And I know it's going to sound so, I have some friends who are super glamorous. I've got a friend, she's a beautiful wife. Her husband dotes over her. Then I have another friend, she's always wearing headscarf, always kind of just looking anyhow. How important is it? Because I
You make
say,
me
listen,
laugh at times, Esther. You
no,
do.
listen,
Your
listen,
expressions make me laugh. It's
whatever you,
exasperation and funniness all at the same time.
whatever you, when you're trying to attract the guy, the hair was looking slick every week, nails were done, makeup was done. He's getting, and I was at my friend's house one time. He says she goes out and she dresses up to go to work. She looks presentable to the world. Then when she comes home, I'm getting headscarf and jogging bottoms. And he's like, that's, and I thought, and you know what? That I actually sat down and thought, you know what? That's so deep. This guy's paid your dowry. When you guys were dating, he always saw you dressed up, because for those that weren't living together. So every time you met, he was infatuated with your beauty. And then now that you're a wife, you're a mom, a lot of women actually stop making an effort to look beautiful for their husband. Like it just stops being a priority. And then this guy is going out there and he's seeing beautiful women at the office. He's walking down the mall, they're winking at him, they're doing all sorts. And you're taking for granted that this guy comes home all the time. And I know people say, oh, you've got kids, we're tired, oh, wait till you get married, blah, blah, blah. But I have different sets of friends, and I have friends who've got kids, got married. She's always looking top toe because she prioritizes that. I want to be a beautiful wife for my husband. I'm not just a mother.
Thank you.
I am my
Thank
husband's wife.
Wife.
Before
Yes.
I'm a mother, I am my husband's wife. My children.
Before you had children.
Yeah, I'm not going to take over my wifely duties. They're not going to stop me from doing everything that made our marriage special, the things that he likes, the clothes that he likes to see me wear, the hairstyle that he loves me to have. I have a friend, her husband loves her doing these cornrow braids. She's like, oh, I don't know why he loves it.
Yes.
She's like, oh,
You
he
got me
loves it. He
started with
loves
that.
this natural look. She's like, and we're like, just put a wig on. But every now and again, she'll get her hair done. Things like, because she knows it's like, whenever she does that hairstyle, that's when she gets special treatment. So she knows when she wants something, she'll package herself. With my husband, when he sees her fresh braids, he's like, what do you want?
Remember
because
what
he
I said
knows his language. Yeah.
before? I said, your hair is the crown on your head.
Yes.
It's like a crown.
Yeah.
Men value that so much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, men value that. The crown, the braids, and then the bun at the back, your earrings, and necklace, and some perfume, eau de perfume. Oh, wow. You're going
Yeah.
to turn your hair, they go crazy. So that's what I said. So let us just remember what I said. you get into this relationship. The woman knows you're going to pay the mortgage and knows you're going
Yeah.
to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Okay. And you think that your wife is going to continually have sex with you, not realizing that your wife has manipulated you. She doesn't actually like having sex with you. She doesn't actually love you. She may respect you to a bit, but what she wants is access to the resources you've got. All of
Wow.
these are tangibles. She gets you to have covering. She gets you to pay the bills. You have a house, you have a car, you have character, you have friends, you have money and resources, and you're a builder. Which woman doesn't want that? All women want that. And how many men are like that are mature enough, stable enough, available enough, and interested in her? Now you see the problem. So when they find a man that's interested in her, the first thing they kick in is chameleonism. They do. Okay, what can I do? How can I manipulate this man to get me married? And why do they have to manipulate the man? Good question, because the vast majority of them, not all, they don't have the pure qualities to attract such a man. So they've got to lie. And they know that they're not worthy of such a man. And this is what I'm against. Because what happens is it stops good women getting married to those men.
Yeah. Yeah.
It stops good women getting married to those men.
Wow.
It stops good women. And so what you then have is you have this triangle here. You want the top 20% of people to be more or less marrying around that level, top 20, top 30% marrying each other. Not that you should be a woman that's up here and you go and pick a man down here. Or you're a man that's up here and you go and pick a woman down here. No.
Yeah.
Don't do that. That's why I'm here.
And church kind of fades. In fact, it spoils that.
That's right. That's what it does.
In church, we're all children of God. None of those things matter.
Yes,
but if you look, people married in their tribes. They married by tribe. I remember there's a particular passage that said we're not going to marry anyone from the tribe of this. People married within their own social circle, whether or not, you know, if we're Christians, by all means, we're all in the body of Christ. But people's experiences, where they're coming from, we're all coming from different walks. We all have different expressions of our faith. And, you know, you're marrying someone, you think someone's on the same spiritual level as you, same cultural understanding. And these are some of the things that kind of infringe on who you should marry. And we're not taught, and we're taught, oh, be humble, marry anyone. Like, people need to know it's okay to vet a fellow brother and sister in Christ for status. Like, I'm going to say it. It's actually okay. What education or background do they have? What school do they go to? What is their understanding of life? Does this person, do we have the same understanding, approach? And it's not being snobby. It's not having faith in God. It's actually wisdom, saying to yourself, am I compatible with this person? You get someone who goes to like a modern church, say like somewhere like a House on the Rock that's very modern. The men are all put together. They wear suits, always looking dapper. And then he goes and marries someone that's, I'm sorry to say, a little bit local, and goes to one of these local churches where they're praying all night, telling their husbands, oh, we're fasting for 30 days. I'm not giving you anything for 30 days. Or my pastor said that we are fasting, or we can't do anything. And the guy's like, what? Yeah, oh, yeah. Wow. Some women say that, yeah, we're fasting for 30 days, prayer fasting. The woman tells her husband, there's prayer and fasting for 30 days, therefore you and the man's like, what are you talking about? Are you married to your pastor, or are you married to me?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Who's the husband here? Because biblically, the Bible says that the couple should agree when and when not to sleep together. It has nothing to do with the church, nothing to do with the pastor. And I think sometimes we over rely on our pastors in the homes, and and these guys are dictating what's happening in your home beyond. And I mean, I've got to bring you back for another conversation about that, because we'll be here for another 20 minutes if we open up that Pandora box and start talking about how the church is influenced, how leaders influencing marriages, married couples.
Remote control the marriage. They remote control the marriage.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're remote controlling it.
Yeah. And people are submitting without realizing they've submitted their marriage not onto God, but onto the man of God, onto the pastor. Yeah. The wives are they'd rather submit to the marriage, to the pastor dictating what's going on, rather than allowing God in his word that gives clear guidance and instructions on submit to your husband, don't withhold sex, your body's not your own, etc. etc. Yeah. So Doctor, I've had a wonderful time. Let me give you back some time. What is the most important thing. I'm going to give you a few minutes to kind of speak to people. What do you want them to know? And if you only had 1 minute to tell people something about relationships, what's absolutely paramount?
I,
And
I
the key.
wanted to I wanted to say something which I've forgotten now.
Please go on.
When you said, no, that's okay. I think it was about the church. I said, yes, that pastor's remote. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Remote control the relationships. When you
Yeah.
said that women dress up to go out to work.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
when you dress up to go out to work, what you're doing, and you come back and you don't maintain that, you're disrespecting your husband. What you're doing is you're telling your husband that the employment that you go to is more valuable than him, because you make an effort for your boss at work,
Your
but you
colleagues.
don't make an effort to your husband. Again, this is the man's fault because he's allowed it. So this is all done at the beginning, which is why the courtship is very important.
Wow.
I remember I said something which was profound, I think it was. I said, I'm going to marry you and I'm going to pay the bills for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to want to have sex with you for 2 or 3 times. Wait, and I want you to have sex with me 2 or 3 times a week for the next 20 years. Are you able to do that?
Wow.
That's like a boulder. That's like putting a boulder on her head, because she wouldn't have thought about it.
No.
She
Many
wouldn't have
women
thought about
don't.
that. They don't think about that. And neither do the men. They just assume it's going to continue like that. And it's
And
not.
they don't have that conversation.
They
Yeah.
don't. So then what happens is one of many conversations they don't have. And then what happens is that the man gets disappointed. Also, there's this one. How many children will you have? And they say, oh, we want 2 or 3. And then after the first one, the wife decides she doesn't want any more kids because it was too painful. So now you're stuck with 1 child.
Yeah.
This is why I'm here, you see. And now you're upset.
Yeah.
You're stuck with 1 child. Your wife doesn't want to have any more children. And here you are paying all of the bills, tolerating her. She's rude. She's disrespectful a bit. She's only giving you the 1 child. She undermines you in front of that child and you're stuck. Again, as a man, it's your fault. So what we need to do is we need to educate men to prepare themselves properly, to know what kind of man they are, and then how to select a wife. If the men do it properly, then more marriages will be sustainable. And what it means is that marriage will now begin to hold the place it should hold as sacred and an honor, because most people don't qualify for it. That's why the marriages are breaking down, because they don't qualify to be married. That's why. They don't qualify to be married. So it may not even be a case of that they're not bad people. They're just not prepared. They don't qualify to be married. So they should be married. Again, this is the triangle. As I said, you want the top 20% of people marrying more or less themselves or just down below. That's where you want. That's where the value is, not going all the way down to the bottom of the triangle. You see, the triangle goes that way. So the vast majority of people here, they shouldn't be married. No, they don't have any money. They've not done anything with themselves. They've slept around. They've got attitudes. They've got issues. They're toxic. They're unstable. They're rude. They're disrespectful and arrogant. They're disloyal. They're dishonest. They cheat. They lie. Are those the kind of people that should get married?
Absolutely not.
Exactly. Absolutely not. But they're getting married. And guess what? Remember what I said? They're getting married to people that are up here. So you can see the problem we're having. People that they've got no business speaking to, they're getting married to. Let me say that again. People that they have no business speaking to, they're getting married to. And it's the people up there, it's their fault. It's their fault.
Yeah, you're right.
It's their fault. So to answer your question, I'll go back to what I said. You're a man, a high-value man, a man of significant consequence, Musk. Build yourself up first. Prepare yourself. Armor yourself. Be a man of faith. Know what type of husband you want to be. Do you want to be a traditional husband where your wife stays at home? Do you want to be a modern-day husband where you and your wife both work together? Or do you want to be a husband that works part-time and you want your wife to work? Most probably doesn't work, but it does for some. Which one do you want to be? Or do you want to be a hybrid? What husband do you want to be? And today I would suggest a hybrid, whereby the hybrid is you work full-time and your wife works part-time from home, which is what I mentioned to you earlier on. I said, what would be good for Esther is that she runs, she's got a management consultancy running many celebrities like myself, many celebrities, while she looks after her children. And then another things. Remember I said that is actually a lot more than you think. Remember what I said.
Dream life.
You've got to look after yourself. You've got to look after your children. You've got to look after the home. You've got to look after your husband, and you've got to run your business. And you're a woman of faith. So that's 6 things you've got to do.
Balance.
That's a lot of work. How many women on par do you think could do all of that competently enough to satisfy a husband? What percentage of women do you think can do that competently enough out of 100? I'll help you 20%.
Wow.
And how do you know that? Because those are the ones that are still married happily today. Because you can do the work. So that's why I was. Prepare yourself as men. Know what type of man you want to be, and then know how to select a good woman. Fourth, big time, you're a top 20% man. It is absolutely essential you get a what? A coach.
Yeah.
Absolutely essential. Sorry, I hope I haven't cut my head off too many times by moving
No,
forward.
you're fine. You're in the frame. You're fine. You're fine.
Right. So get a coach, especially if you're very successful. Let me say what I said again, gentlemen. I'm talking about gentlemen now. You're a top 20% man, a man of very significant consequence. You're earning more than 100,000 a year. Your house is worth more than 500 grand. You've got a nice car. You come from a good home. You are the man that all women are targeting. So whether they're here, or here, they're all targeting you. So the first thing you need to do is these women here in the triangle, block them out. They're not for you. Your value's too much. And they won't offer you meaningful reciprocity. The same for women. You come from a very good home. You're waist down, you're slim, you're articulate, you're well-spoken, you're beautiful. You've not slept around. The vast majority of men have no business speaking to you. The vast majority of men have no business speaking to you. You're not to entertain them. A man comes up to you with swag and disrespect and his bullshit. Tell him to keep it moving. Don't entertain them. Don't entertain them at all. Because men will try you. Men are the same as women, always shooting out of their league. They want to sleep with women they know they've got no business sleeping with. It goes to their ego. And what do? They just damage the women. They damage them. They just damage them because they can't marry them because they don't have the means to marry them. You see what I'm saying? So they should not be speaking to such women. You do not entertain women. You're meant to be closed off to most men. You're meant to be closed off to most men. Most men should not have access to you. And if he's brave enough to come up to you based on the energy you give off, then he's most probably somebody you should be entertaining. Because for him to be able to do that, acknowledging that you're a high value woman, he himself would have to be what, Esther? A high value man to be able to do, yes. So he should be able to do it. The energy you give off should send him a clear message. Don't come over here unless you know what you're about. So that's it. It will stop. It will stop. Don't come over here unless you know what you're about. So if I turn up in my 7 Series dressed like this and I approach someone, I know what I'm about. And so by the time I get over to where she is, I'm going there with my full chest and I'm full of confidence in my own ability, in my own character, and in my own value. And I will challenge her to test it for herself. And so now that you've tested Dr. London and his values, what he says he is, now he's going to test you. Right. So now we have understanding, don't we?
Wow.
And then you ask her, after doing all of that, you ask her, what's your financial situation? And she says, oh, well, I've got £30,000 of debt. So the conversation ends right there. That's it. I don't care how beautiful you are, how your hips move, and your smile, and your warmth, and your nuances, your nuance, and your erudite, your sapiosexual. The £30,000 of debt will end that relationship, unless, of course, you pay it off yourself. Do not bring debt to my table. Do not bring debt to the table of a man of significant consequence. Don't do it. And listen, gentlemen, I'm talking to you. Don't let any woman bring debt to your table, ever. The debt does not benefit you and is a liability to you. Never let a woman bring debt to your table, ever. Ever. I'm talking to you, ever. Never ever let a woman bring debt to your table. And if you're a woman and you're speaking to a man and the man is 40 or 42 and you ask him, where do you live? He says, oh, I live here. And you ask him, do you have your own house? He says, no, I don't. And you ask him, do you see yourself getting your own house in 3 years' time? And he says, no, I don't. Leave him alone.
Ouch.
Did you hear me? Leave him alone. He's not for you. I don't care how smartly dressed he is, how good he is, how good he looks, how this is not for you. All of those are superficial things. How would a man that's 40 plus not have his own house yet? What does that tell you? He's not able to manage, he's not able to generate or manage enough money, or both. He cannot generate or manage enough money. How then is he going to look after you and 2 children? How?
4 kids in
Leave
my
him
case.
alone.
Wow.
How many?
At least 4.
We need to stop that, please. Have 1 or 2 first. Get past
I know.
How's he going to do it? He's not going to be able to do it. How's he going to be able to do it?
Yeah. Wow, Doc. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm definitely going to
Well,
have
most
you back
welcome.
at a later date. We could be here forever because
We
you're like
could.
a wellspring of practical knowledge. And I think you've challenged so many people today, and they're sitting there thinking, we went into this marriage with spirit mindset. God will do this, that, and the other. But God is also a God of wisdom, very practical. And a lot of people don't think about the practical aspect of vetting someone and fully preparing for marriage, setting yourself up the best way possible. Thank you for that. I really, really appreciate it. I'm going to put you in the green room while I just close out the show. So just wait for me right there. Wow. I don't even know what to say. I've just got goosebumps right now because I know that God has just absolutely spoken. And I know a lot of you have been challenged. And I just want to encourage you. You might have got it wrong. Things might be going left, but it's never too late. Prayer, coaching. Pray for peace. Pray for God to guard your heart, but also get coaching. Coaching is counsel, godly counsel, God advice. It's all good speaking to your friends, but your friends have got issues in their marriage. So why are you speaking to someone who's got issue in their marriage that hasn't helped themselves? And women, we do that a lot. You're telling your business to your best friend who's on the brink of divorce. What advice is she going to give you? And vice versa. This is why a coach is very necessary. Please follow Dr. London. He's on TikTok at Dr. London 258. Also follow him on Instagram. I'm going to have all his social media links around today's podcast. And again, thank you guys so much. Podcast going to be here to watch on whatever platform you're watching. Facebook, YouTube. You can always come back at any time. Remember to follow me at The Wise Woman Online, both on TikTok, both on Instagram. I'll get around to opening a Facebook page for The Wise Woman Online. Have a wonderful new year. Hope you guys have had a wonderful Christmas. I wish you a happy new year, and we'll be back in 2025 with the Wise Woman podcast. It's going to be bigger and better. God bless you, and we'll see you on the other side. Bye for now.